guys, welcome back to another episode of Hospitality TV. I'm your host, Rafael Peterson. For those of you joining the show for the first time, just a quick little breakdown on what it is that we're doing here. I started this show several years ago during my tenure as wine director for a big restaurant here in San Diego. During that time, I was able to learn a lot from people who had excelled already and learned a lot of experiences in this industry. That's why I started the podcast. The original premise of it has always been and will continue to be to interview people who have something to share from within our industry so that others can be better at what they do. So that being said, I do have one request. Please share the show. I run into a bunch of you on the street or a bunch of you who see me and was like, hey man, the podcast is so good. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. I was like, cool, bro, but you've never shared it. You've never commented. You've never liked it. Like, if it's something that you think provides value to you or to someone that you know, please share it on your stories, share it to someone else. Like, that's the only way that we grow. I could make probably a whole whopping $2 or $3 in advertising here, which I don't. That's not what I'm fishing for these days, but maybe one day I will. But anyway, you get the point. So share the show if you like it. Now, to today's episode, very excited to have this guest in today. We've been talking about it for a while. You've been absolutely crushing it. AKA the Golden Retriever, AKA the Cocktail Retriever, AKA Jacob Mental. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
And honestly, back to what you were saying, especially about sharing, it's how you keep it authentic. And so really, it's such an important podcast. You want to make sure more and more people are reaching it. So it's an incredible thing that you're saying that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. You're doing some incredible things here. You guys are kind of on fire. You got a lot of good momentum going. That's always a very exciting time to be in, when kind of things are going your way. So we're at home base right now with you at Wormwood here in North Park in San Diego. This is North Park, right?
Yeah.
North Park in San Diego.
North Park,
yeah, exactly. But I wanted to, I guess, dive into your story a little bit. There's a couple different topics I know that we have on the agenda for today that we want to make sure that we hit.
Yeah.
But I always like to start with kind of like the comic book number one, episode one, like background story of how you got into the industry and kind of how you got to this point, man.
Yeah, love it. So actually it was kind of a cool little story about how I got into the industry. So I grew up with a single mom for most of my life, my childhood at least. And what would happen is she would work in restaurants. And so instead of like childcare and stuff, most of the time I would actually come into the restaurant and sit at the bar.
Where was this?
Oh, this is over in like all over the place. Like I've lived in like Reno, LA, Oregon, like literally everywhere.
Gotcha.
And but the biggest story I always remember is this place called Crocodile Cafe in Burbank. And so what I would do is while she was working there, I would go and sit at the bar. And I remember the nicest person that was ever to me was the bartender. And he would see how he interacted with people, and he'd always feed me those like red like cherries. I used to love those. It's probably why I have such a sweet tooth now. It's probably not good for me now. But it was such a great interaction to see how much of a impact he had on the guests' lives on a daily basis. And I was like 6 years old, and I could see that, and it shows a lot of what we can do with this platform as a bartender. And so from then on, I was always really obsessed with the industry. My mom stayed in there pretty much until she was like 40. Dental hygienist now. I'm really proud of her. And so what ended up happening was as I kind of moved on, I bounced around cities to where I ended up in San Francisco for originally acting.
No way.
It's funny, but I always worked kind of restaurants until I was like 18, and never really wanted to get into like hardcore bar stuff until I actually went to the very first menu for Trick Dog in San Francisco.
Okay.
Buddy of mine was like, yeah, you have to check this bar out. It's super cool. These bartenders came together, did this really awesome concept. No one's done anything like it. And I was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. I'm 21 years old, I don't know anything. And I walk in and I'm so absolutely blown away by what they were able to accomplish with these menu concepts, as well as just the guest interaction and hospitality. And it reminded me of my childhood and this amazing feeling that I felt watching this person interact with people and have a real impact on someone's day. And so from then on, I was always just obsessed with bartending. There's a little bit of nooks and crannies from there. Like I tried to get into firefighting at one point, and different things. Didn't have the stomach for it, unfortunately, which is why I didn't pursue it all the way. It wasn't really until I came to San Diego that I really had the opportunity, and that's where we met. Born and raised for, the one shit that was there. But but it was.
Hey, we connected, man.
We did.
I kind of remember following you to different spots after that because of that. So that was.
And that's all that really mattered, And what was cool about it was that for a long time, I kind of had to like fight and claw my way through the industry. You know, I worked at Hunter Proof, which is a really cool San Diego place, as you know, that ended up closing down right before COVID.
Yep.
Bounced around a little bit after that and worked with Frank McGrath with the Trust Company.
Okay.
Who's a local legend, used to run Polite for a very long time, pretty much put it on the map. And it was a great experience learning from him. And so he actually ended up getting me into Consortium Holdings, which ended up being where I opened up Youngblood, which actually just made it to number 49 in North America.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's well deserved. That bar is incredible. Yeah, it's
and I won't say I have any
concept.
credit in that at all. I give it all to Frankie. I give it to all Liza. Like it's an incredible thing what they were able to accomplish with that such beautiful space and really bringing in that level of hospitality that was lacking during that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we ended up going over to Polite Provisions where I did their events and takeovers and menus.
Yeah.
Learned a lot from Alicia Perry, which is just an absolute badass in this industry. Talk about blowing up. I mean, she's just everywhere right now.
Where is she working? Is she tied into one spot right now?
No, she's actually, so right now she was promoted from our general manager of Polite to being the beverage director of the company.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so she's running the whole like show right now.
For CH?
For CH.
Oh my God, okay,
yeah,
nice.
She's just absolutely killing it. And it's great too, because I still I get coffee with her, still ask for advice. She's just an amazing mentor in this industry.
Yep.
And I just love what she's able to do. She's like that mom you never want to disappoint. You know, there's that little bit of like nervousness and scaredness, but in the way that you love the that part of it.
Hi.
That was Khadijah. That's our assistant general manager.
No worries at all.
Literally gets this place running. It's phenomenal.
Hey brother, this is the normal happening of recording in a restaurant. Yeah, this is real. This is live. This is no studio. This is live interaction. So.
Oh, this is gonna be like 30, 40 minutes. Yeah,
30 minutes
at most.
We gotta keep on.
Yeah, keep on going.
This is the actual normality of fake restaurant life.
Well, so it should be though. It's realistic.
100%.
But no, basically what we did was we were able to do some really cool stuff there up until we closed for that month with the renovations.
Yep.
I went over to Seneca and Reading Club to kind of help with that bar for a bit.
Yep, remember that?
Yeah, and then Jason Wild, who was actually running this bar before me, he was about to leave, and so he reached out to me along with
Victoria's husband, right?
Yeah. As world talented. I mean, you're talking about a local legend in San Diego.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Reached out to me to kind of take over where he left off, and it's just been kind of like this amazing experience so far of what we'll be able to accomplish here with the new menus. Opening the bar in the back, which is be so cool, and you know we're starting a lot of this like really cool touring of bars in the United States, and he's bringing really big bars to us as well. It's really cool to kind of like showcase what San Diego can really do in this cocktail industry.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about San Diego as a whole. I love this city. I love this community. I love these bartenders, and I think that we're one of the most underrated cities in the United States for cocktails. You have a city full of like really community, this hardcore community, and they love each other, and they're so talented in what they do. And I want to bring people here to see just how truly talented everyone is. Because it's at the end of the day, it's an incredible, important thing.
So there's a couple things that like right away jump to my mind. But first of all, like what you just said, like I think that's happening, right? Like you guys are doing, Bartenders Weekend, right?
Yeah.
So that's in San Diego.
Yep.
And then it's in a couple other locations too.
Just in Palm Springs.
In Palm Springs.
Yeah,
that's right. So man, I mean that's got to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing awareness to kind of the San Diego industry,
Absolutely.
the San Diego vibe, everything that's happening here in the city. I mean, that's amazing. One thing I don't want to kind of glance over either, though, is I love what you said at the very beginning of the person who made such an impact on you at 6 years old. That's insane, man.
Yeah.
Like, for you to remember that still. Do you find yourself going back to that influence from that person? Like, maybe wanting to, like, impart that to somebody else? Like, I feel like you never know who's sitting at your bar, and you had that moment that you remember to this day, right? And I think a lot of times during service, you forget that you might have that interaction to somebody else, whether it be an employee, right, or a guest, or honestly, probably more an employee, right? Somebody, but who knows? Like somebody that like you said something and they will remember it, which also could be a good or bad thing, right? You never know what
totally
people
depends.
remember, right? But things leave such an impact. Do you find yourself ever checking back in, being like, man, I want to maybe influence somebody how that guy like had an influence on me?
Absolutely, and honestly, that's kind of the big reason why I made the jump here. You know, this is a big gamble coming over here. Going somewhere like Polite Provisions, where everybody in the world knows who that is. And it's because I wanted to have that opportunity to mentor people that didn't necessarily have the same chances as I did. And at the end of the day, you talk about like having that impact someone at the bar. It's we actually have someone on our staff. His name's Ty. He's never bartended before in his life.
Yeah.
I'm very adamant about bringing people in that don't necessarily have a lot of experience, and if they do, it's great too. But I want people that are hungry, and that's the thing. You can't teach hungriness, but you can teach everything else.
Yep.
So we have actually Ty here, who's an executive. We used to be an executive chef with no bartending experience.
Oh wow.
And that goes into kind of what we do here. Is at the end of the day, I could train anyone to do anything that bartenders do as far as the bartending part of it. But I can't teach someone to be personable. I can't teach someone to be passionate about hospitality, and I can't teach someone to be hungry for what we do. And that's the beauty of it. And so I think that a lot of people get overlooked in our industry that because they don't have a lot of experience, when the reality of it is we should be really good mentors.
Yep.
Mentorship breeds the next generation, and we should be mentoring that next generation of people who are going to advance what we're doing in this industry and not necessarily just make it what it is now.
Right.
I'm very big about hospitality. And I don't, once again, not to take away from what we do as bartenders, but anybody can make a drink, but not everybody can make someone feel like they're the most important person in the room. Mm-hmm. And that's what people remember. People will be like, yeah, I remember this cocktail I had in San Diego one time, and not think of the bar. But if you have a great experience, they remember that for the rest of their lives. And that's what I got from that experience.
Do you think you can teach that? Or do you think it's more of an inherent trait? Because I remember when we used to do hiring at the last restaurant, or one of the last restaurants that I was at, I was so adamant and so focused on like, I know if this person is going to be the right fit within a couple minutes, right? Like, how do they look at you? How do they smile? Or is it something that are they just genuinely nice people to be around? Versus, are they already coming in with a sense of entitlement? Mm-hmm. Do they have an attitude? Like, that's already such a big red flag, and it's, in my opinion, is harder to sway somebody who kind of leans that direction versus somebody who's just like actually a people person, and you can teach them all the hard skills, which is what you were just talking about. You think it can be taught, the hospitality part of it?
It's a tough one. I think anything can be taught if they're willing, and that's the key thing. And that's the willingness is what you can't teach. If someone came in and they worked in, let's say, like a bar where it was like that, you think of like Dick's Last Resort, where literally their motto is to be rude to the guests, and people go and they love that. And that person came in and that's just how they were always doing it. That's their bartending career. Right. But if they're willing to do it and they're willing to evolve and become this hospitality specialist, then yeah, absolutely. But they have to be willing.
Right.
I don't think it's an ingrained thing. I think that there's a natural ability for it, but I think at the end of the day, as long as someone is willing and able to do it, you can teach them how to be a great hospitality professional. Do
you have that conversation up front when you're in a hiring position?
Always. Yeah. And that's the key thing is I'm 100% honest with my staff on every front. You have to be. Yeah. And if you come into it with only bringing in super talented people and not telling them that stuff, and they're going to be like, okay, well, I didn't know that initially. But it's a thing where I have expectations when I have these interviews, and we are a hospitality professional first, and we are a bartender second.
I think that's a super important thing that gets missed in a lot of interview processing. Like, actually, not the fluffy fluff bullshit, or what's your biggest trait, or when you critique your own stuff. Like, it's more of like actually setting the expectations and be like, hey, if these don't feel like you align with these, like, this isn't going to be the place for you, But if it is, then we can work together and take it to the next level, and hopefully both of us grow, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a super interesting part of it. I've always, you kind of mentioned the chefs and your buddy who was a chef too. I've always envied the bartender part of that like you guys get to, and it's so funny because I go back and forth, like, as a somm, and I've worked the floor for a long time. Like, we're essentially describing a product that's already been made, right? It's somebody has put the hard work into it, and we're coming in and hopefully trying to paint a good picture and a story behind it and how it might fit well with what's going on. But to a certain degree, you gotta recognize at some point, like, it should give you some humility. You're like, man, there's a lot of other people who went through a painstaking process to make this. We're just an enabler here. We're just trying to connect the dots. Whereas, like, chefs are little mini bartenders are like little mini chefs that are coming up with flavor profiles, what works together. They're creating their own things. They're actually creating something. And then not only that, to have the creative part of what a chef might have, is now you're flipping around on the hospitality side and delivering it face to face and almost an advantage over like what a chef might have, who is like, he makes a dish, goes out to the customer, and he's maybe trying to get a little glance of how the customer's reacting.
Yeah.
Like, you get real-time information right there as you give it to the guest, and able to tweak recipes like that. I don't know, I think that whole, it's such an amazing position to be in, right? To be able to create something and actually give it to the person directly, and just do that over and over and over.
Well, it's funny that you say that, actually. So Mike from Thunderbolt, he said this quote that just really resonated with me forever, and I always think about it. He said, "We choose to be poor to do what we love." Because in our industry, we're really not taking home the bank. You know, we're doing this because we love what we do. We love creating. But I never ever, and I love that you're being so like passionate about like the kitchen side of it as well, because I feel like people don't understand just how badass those kitchen people are. You know, you're talking about guys who grind 10 hours a day, super hot back there. They're creating stuff. There's all these ingredients, knife skills, all these hardcore skills, and that's why some of the best bartenders in the world come from a kitchen background, because they're grinders. They don't complain.
Some of the best sommeliers too.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. They have the flavor palettes down. Yep. And they come out like I've seen it with Ty. Ty's like one of the best employees I've ever seen, because they grind and grind and grind. They do it for so little because they love what they do. Yep. And I've always been so passionate about being kind to the kitchen itself, because to me they're the most important part of it. And that's why I love what Consortium did with their name of it. It's a heart of house. Right. Because they are the heart of the house. Without them, we're nothing. Right. You know, and even bartending. I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, I could write a recipe and the manager could come back and make it work. I couldn't hop behind that kitchen and do what they do for 10 hours in that boiling heat. It's incredible what they do. Yeah. And nothing but love for anyone in the kitchen. Yeah, super hard work. So actually, that's a great segue into a couple other things that I wanted to jump into. But obviously, this is it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And that's something I was really excited to talk to you about, because there's a couple different things that you're involved in. But I mean, let's just hop on this immediately too, like talking about like the kitchen work and like what a grueling job that is. And even like for just the general I mean, they obviously probably have it like tougher than most in the different positions that exist in a restaurant. But I mean, it's a tough job for anybody, right? Yeah. Like the hours are brutal, you're on your feet, it's pretty grueling. And I think that can also make it a very difficult job in a sense, to be able to cope with all those things, and then kind of weighs on your mental health. Absolutely. Speaking of that in particular, of not just the kitchen situation, but like in the state that we are, you're in contact with so many people who run bars, who run programs, who are also managing a team. Have you seen anything recently where people are really making impressive improvements in how they run their team, how they treat their staff, maybe how they're creating a better environment for their people? Because And I really, right? Because I don't like. I think like obviously we're here fishing for like real answers. Of course. I think that sometimes you hear that people are saying that they're doing this on paper, but then maybe that's not really their execution in real life, right? But I know you're kind of super dialed into a lot of bar leads and team managers here. Have you seen anybody really killing it there? And 100%. And I'm glad you brought that up, because there's two bars in particular that I want to call out. The Yacht Club in Denver. Okay. Absolutely incredible. The McLeans out there are so adamant, so hardcore about making sure their staff is happy, taken care of. They ensure they have the appropriate days off. Mental health is really important to them. You go there and you experience what they do there. Every single one of their staff members are so passionate, but not passionate in a way they're passionate about the industry. They're passionate about the bar, and they're passionate about them like a family. And I love what they've done there. Out of this world stuff. But I'd say the pinnacle of it is actually Kate from Happy Accidents, who's essentially like my idol when it comes to running a bar. She is on the forefront of ensuring staff is happy and taken care of. From like weekly staff outings to ensure that our mental health is kept up, to in actually taking care of their mental health benefits. Like that's something that no one really pays attention to in a lot of our industry, is mental health benefits. So like seeing a therapist, maybe? Seeing a therapist, like everything, gives them resources. I mean, every person there has a share in the bar. Yep. You know, it's a thing where it's so adamant about ensuring that they're taken care of on the mental part of it, because at the end of the day, we really do deal with a lot of mental stress on a daily basis. To a point, every single day we're coursing things out. Every single day we're making cocktails, all certain things. And she's just been an idol. I mean, honestly, listening to her on Drink Masters was insane. She's crying talking about her staff. I mean, come on, like that's incredible.
Oh, I'm gonna
That's
have to look into
incredible.
that. Yeah.
And that right there, like I already was in love with her, and after that, I was just like, oh my gosh, like you're my number one, you're my idol. There it is. And those are my top two for sure. And I think a lot of people in our industry are moving towards that way because they've realized from places like Google and such like that the happiest employees in your company are going to make you the most money. They're going to make you the most people coming back. And at the end of the day, you also want to take care of them because you're family.
Right.
You should never look at them as another number. They're your family.
Right.
And that's what I preach to myself personally, and that's what those two do all the time as well.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Like you're like the amount of money that goes into turnover, not to mention the instability of your culture when that happens. It would make sense that people would invest in like a long-term employee, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're actually moving into a new project also of your own, I think revolving around mental health. I saw that you were gonna start writing a column, I think, for a magazine. Tell us more about that.
Oh yeah, so where this kind of started was actually my own personal journey with mental health. So I'm very, very open about my mental health because I feel that by me being open, I might ensure people to actually seek out the help they want. So myself personally, I do suffer from severe depression, anxiety, as well as ADHD, as I call it, the golden trifecta. And it's a struggle on a daily basis, you know, and I feel that if I didn't have parents that also suffered from the same things, it would have been very, very difficult for me to find the resources and the help to do it. And so with this column for actually Chill Magazine, I've been talking to them, and they're very, very interested in, and honestly, it says a lot about them as well to be so immediate, like, absolutely, let's do this, let's help out our industry.
Yeah.
My respect for them was already so high, it's through the roof now. And basically what I'm gonna be doing with that column is I'm gonna be interviewing well-known professionals in our industry, and I'm gonna be releasing a column about their journey, as well as what they went through, the resources, and how they think that you can help yourselves to seek that help. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't have the confidence to go ask for that help. But if I can give that resource and give that anonymous way of doing it, then a lot more people are going to be saved. We lost too many friends in this industry. You know, we've lost so many friends because they haven't had the help and the resources. Right. And I don't want to lose any more friends.
It's really hard when you're in a position like that to ask for help, right? Like, I mean, I've had that happen too. And it's been I've been in, you know, very difficult places, and it's really difficult to reach out to somebody, you know, and almost certain people, it's like you feel almost a burden. You're like, man, I don't want to, like, you have certain friends who like maybe seem like they're doing very well, and they have their little family over here. They have this, like, I don't want to burden them with my bullshit and like bring this weight on them. That's so unfair of me to do that, you know, like. But I think it's very important. You know, you have to have somebody where you can reach out to. You know, like how have you? I mean, if I can ask you, like, how have you found success in overcoming some of those hurdles for yourself?
That's a great question. Trial and error. You know, it's not an easy process. You know, I do come off like as the golden retriever, but at the end of the day, it's a struggle in the morning every day, and to pursue it and put that face on, and you know, I truly want everybody to be happy around me, but I've been through a lot with getting to that point. You know, I made a lot of dumb mistakes because I put my mental health on the back burner, and I've made my relationship with my wife strained at times, and thank goodness that saint of a woman stuck by me, because I actually heard a quote recently that really resonated with me to make me feel like I'm not quite as crazy, is that oftentimes the most happy people are generally the ones struggling the most. And I think when I kind of came out and announced all the stuff I was dealing with, a lot of people were surprised. But I found that, like, the help by going to a psychiatrist, talking to them, and figuring out exactly what I was going through, and finding the appropriate medication. And I really do want people to understand, like, it is a process, and it's hard. It's so hard. And I don't want them to go and think it's this easy thing, but it's so rewarding at the end of it. And once you get the right medication, or you get the right treatment, or you talk to the right people, I mean, your life is going to change forever. You know, you're going to finally feel like there's something out there that is helping you. And that doesn't necessarily always have to be a therapist in your first step. It could be a friend, a family, a parent, whatever it is. my first person I talked to was my parents. You know, and when I was younger, and not to get into a little more of a darker thing.
No, please.
You know, I had some points where I had some really dark thoughts, and there was a couple times where I was really scared for what I might do.
Yeah.
And what happened is I talked to my parents, and they were able to go with me to figure these things out. And I say my parents, but I want to do a little shout out to my stepfather, dad. My stepfather, who's my father, Robert, who came into my life when I was like 11, and has been the most amazing dad since. And that's why I say my parents. And I said the single mom earlier, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, it's one of these things where you don't necessarily have to go straight to a therapist or a psychiatrist. You can reach out to someone that's really close to you. Like you have your friends, your family, someone you really, really trust, you feel comfortable doing it with. Trust me, they want to help as much as they possibly. They love you, and they want to give you that first step. And so for me, when I was younger, I definitely had moments of like really like dark thoughts, you know, and when I was struggling with it, and it's hard to control those things, especially with ADHD as well. It's like this constant flow of that thought. You can't get it out of your head over and over and over and over again. And it makes it very difficult. And so what I ended up doing was going to my parents.
Yeah.
And they were able to kind of walk me through that process and help me find that help. And it was a really long process after that as well. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. It's really worth it. And with a therapist, you find someone that wants to listen. They just listen. There's no ulterior motive. There's nothing there. They're going to listen to you, and they're going to give you advice with no other reason than to give you good advice.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't remember that that's what's happening, and it's really important. It's a really important process, and I really, really hope people reach out.
Yeah.
And honestly, use me as a resource too.
Yeah, you know what? Me too.
Yeah.
Like I think that
please,
it's. I want to like point that out there. Like you said, like it's. And I mean, I think that's amazing that you had that, right? Like, but I think maybe a lot of people don't have that. Like, I can't talk to my mom about that stuff. Like, she's so old school. Like, we've never talked about how are you feeling. You know, like just doesn't happen. Like, that's just not the type of person. So, and then several of my friends too. I'm like, even close friends, man. Like, there's probably only one person that I know who's been through some shit that I know has gone to therapy that I would even feel comfortable maybe reaching out to, but honestly not even when I'm going through it. And it's been less recently, and I'm going to tell you how I got there, just also to share my own experience. But when I'm in the moment, like, dude, I'm not reaching out like, hey man, you got a second? It's so hard to do.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm just like, I got to figure this shit out on my own. And I don't know if that is the best, you know, solution either. Like, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not trying to give any advice here, but I'm just kind of sharing my own story as well. I remember I had a really close friend of mine recently, and she posted something on IG stories, and I could feel it, man, through the story. She's like, hey, in a real bad funk, like, does anybody have any recommendation or advice on how to get out of this? And like, dude, like, to put that even on a story, I'm like, shit. And I started blowing her up just on the response. And for me, what has worked before is to get moving and to just create some action. Go for a walk, get out of your house, get off the couch, get out of your dark room, go get some sunshine, go for a walk, go for a run, dip in the ocean if you can. Like, shock your system into getting out of it. Because my experience has been, when you're that deep in it, you can't rationalize. It reminds me of the scene from The Beautiful Mind, where the guy's like, why can't I think my way out of this? And the shrink is like, because your mind is the problem, you know? And that's kind of like what it reminds me of. Like, when you're there, you can't think your way out of this place.
No.
You have, and I'll tell you what damn sure isn't going to make you feel better is by drowning it out with booze, which I've done a bunch of times, and I'm sure a lot of us in the industry have done also. It's like, you get a drink, feel a little bit better, well, I might as well just keep on going and go get tonight with my homies. And sure, but guess what? Guess what happens the next morning? You're even worse than you were before.
Absolutely.
For me, and which is you know, one of the reasons why I got into hiking so much also, if we're going to be transparent, because I've always loved to be outdoors and stuff, but like during COVID, like, I started going on these massive fucking hikes because it would clear my mind in a better way that nothing else could. So anyway, I think that action to get out of, you have to shock your system, you have to change the physiological component of your body so that your mind kind of follows, right? And I think that's been really good for me is, like, I go to the gym every freaking morning, or I go for a run. because I have to prime my mind to be in a better place for that day.
Absolutely.
Not like trying to be like a freaking gym nut or anything. It's 100% to put my mind in a better position for what's going to happen throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah. And that's research too.
Yeah.
I mean, research says
if I don't do that, I'm already behind the ball. I'm already feel like I'm not in the best place that I could be. Why put yourself in that position? So it doesn't have to be gym, it doesn't have to be like whatever it is for you. It might be yoga, it might be meditation, it might be reaching out to somebody in the morning. It might be gratitude. That's a big thing for me too, right? Like wake up, I'm like, I woke up today, I'm feeling good. A lot of people didn't wake up today. Reach out to a couple. Another thing I've been doing is like I'll try to text like 3 people in the morning, really close friends. Say, hey man, I hope you have a great freaking day. I hope you have a great week. I love you, man. And just like that's it. And I think kind of putting that out into the world also has huge benefits coming back your way, because I think it's another way of also just getting out of your own head.
Yeah.
Like what can you do for others? Like I think this is why we're here today. I think this is what a lot of the reasons that you're doing the projects that you're doing is like getting out of your own self, first of all.
Oh yeah.
Which is it's easier said than done, right? But even just forcing yourself to just, and what's a great way to do that is do more for others.
Absolutely.
Right? And then I think in a selfish way, it helps to take care of yourself. And then in a non-selfish way, you're obviously doing something for somebody else, maybe helping to improve what they're doing. And those have been I just wanted to share that. That's been some things that have helped me. Dude, another thing that's really helped me a lot is this book called The Untethered Soul. I don't know if you've read it.
No.
I'm kind of like halfway through it. It sounds a little hippie-ish up front, but dude, I 100%. I recommend this book. One of the hugest concepts for me in one of the first chapters was kind of just and I'm probably gonna butcher this because they had a beautiful way that they said it, but it's like disassociation between yourself and your self-consciousness and the thoughts that are coming up in your mind. And it was funny because I don't see a psychiatrist often. I should. I just like the people that I've seen are freaking expensive. And I'm like, dude, I can't do this $300 like every week or something. But I did it for a couple times, and it was so funny because as I mentioned something that was bothering me, he actually mentioned something else too, which was like, I think in his own way of saying that the process of disassociation was like, hey, just like your consciousness, you're not the thought creating machine that exists inside of you, and which also creates a lot of voices inside of you. And to be able to kind of sit back and look at that as just kind of like a thought generating machine was huge. And like just saying like, hey, listen, like the first thing is like recognize that you're having a thought. Because and then that's the thing that used to cause me. I would get latched onto these things, maybe these false beliefs or something that would cause me a lot of anxiety. With a situation that hadn't even happened yet, or something that I thought that might be true that there's no evidence to back it up that it was true. But dude, it got to the point where sometimes I'd even go on hikes and it was like burning in my mind. I'm like, this is a problem. I need to talk to somebody. That's actually that was my defining point. I was like, I need help. I'm not able to do this on my own. And yeah, he taught me that. And he was like, dude, first you need to recognize that you're having a thought, and then recognize that you're recognizing that you're having the thought. And then he was like, one other step, I already forgot it, but it was like 3 layers of disassociating yourself from that thought to be like, yeah, that thought isn't me. I don't even know why I gave it so much. And it, again, just kind of practical tactics to kind of just set your mind free from these things that can cause you such a burden,
I love all that, and that's something that I actually struggle with a lot, personally, and I still try to be better with is disassociation. Yeah. Because the reality of it is you have these thoughts and what I like to call spiraling. Yep. And you spiral with this one thought as you kind of consistently go, and you're stuck and honed in on that aspect. Yeah. And it's such a really cool. I love that actually. I love that. I'm gonna read that for sure. That's
you have to. So I'll get you the book.
Yeah, that's so sick.
You'll love it.
But you're right.
You're right. Game changer.
I love it. No, and it's people have their different ways of going about it. We, like for instance, I'm gonna start going like I want to play Dungeons and Dragons. Never played that thing before in my life, but it's just kind of a cool little thing where I feel like you go there and you just like your mind's not there. Or the reason why the wife and I always go to Disneyland. Yeah. People are like, are you like one of those Disney fanatics? I'm like, yes and no. Like for me personally, going to Disneyland it's impossible to think about anything in the real world. You go there and you're so surrounded by such positivity everywhere that I don't think about a single thing outside of that Disneyland at all. And it's kind of this escape for me where I go there and I just have a good time and I just have amazing feelings the entire time. And that's why we do it.
Yeah.
And it's finding that thing that you do. And that's what I hope. And honestly, this is already counting as one of my interviews for the column. I'm going to write about this whole thing we're talking about. Is finding that way. And I hope that this column brings that to people. And I want people like you, what you just said, I never even thought about. And that's why it's not just me writing this stuff, because my thought's only one person. My thought only works for a certain amount of people.
Right.
But interviewing people and that have these amazing stories and these amazing techniques they went through and see, it's going to help different people as they go along.
Yep.
You know, and I'm so excited about it.
Dude, I'm pumped for you.
Yeah.
We're definitely gonna look out for that. I'm excited. Please let me know how I can help in any way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. I think it's gonna be great. I know when you posted that, a lot of people were like, "Hell yeah!" And like there was a lot of really good positivity around that too. So I'm excited for you, man. We could talk about this like literally all day. I mean, because there's so many other things on how it relates to the industry and whatnot. But I do want to make sure that we hit a couple different things. So you have some interesting. So apart from the column that you have lined up, I think you're doing another thing here internally, right? Within Wormwood for mental health awareness too?
Yeah.
What do you have lined up?
So we're actually going to be working with Bacardi and Patron for a nice little series here where they are putting together this really awesome like platform. And I won't want to get super into it because I know they're really excited to make this big announcement of it.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't want to ruin the surprise for them.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to let me know. Give me the green light when I can post about this.
Oh no, please post that immediately.
Okay.
I mean, I'll give you like the generalized thing, so
Gotcha.
at least people can understand, be ready for it.
Okay.
So basically, what it's going to be is this system of like 5 steps, and they're going to be doing like this reflection as well as like internal and basically what it's going to be is like going out and exercising or having a class of yoga, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then maybe coming back and having this talk about like what they experienced with like a really good speaker, and then having like a non-alcoholic happy hour where you hang out with them and really enjoy this day that you had and reflect with people that just had the experience with you and learning. And when they brought it to my attention, immediately I was like, done, let's do it here.
Yep.
Like whatever I have to do to make that happen here. I'm like, am I going to charge you anything? We're going to do this. Because at the end of the day, that's a big thing. What we do here too is for charity. You know, and it's important. And I'm so excited. And just a quick shout out for names. You know, Dan and Leo are just, they're pushing the game as far as what we can do in the industry with this platform that we have. And I'm really, really proud of those guys.
Sorry, who's Dan and Leo?
Oh, Dan Sutherland with Patron.
Okay.
He's our rep here in town.
Gotcha.
Absolutely incredible human being. Big, tall, red-haired man. Beautiful. And Leo, and I'm really embarrassed. I'm not going to say his last name. But incredible man with Bacardi.
Gotcha.
You're talking about like, you think I'm positive? This guy is like a pack of golden retrievers, like a pack of them, and that's what it is.
Dude, I was looking up. I think I just clicked on you have like a little bio on your Instagram handle. I never even put that together. Like oh, the cocktail retriever, cool. That's a cool name. But I guess it came from like they named you the golden retriever because John was so like happy and
exactly.
and bubbly.
And it's
Dude,
so
that's
funny.
so good.
For years and years, I had that, and I actually won an award for CAPS last year. It was called the Golden Boy Award, but they changed to the Golden Retriever Award. And from then on, I was like, you know what? I just got to lean into this. I got to lean into it. So I'm the Golden Retriever, Cocktail Retriever.
I love it, man.
For those looking, I have my tattoo. It's my logo.
Yeah, there it is. Yes, we got to zoom in on that.
It cracks me up, man. I loved it. It was, but yeah, those two are just so phenomenal. And I love seeing people kind of step up and see the important things in our industry that we could do.
Yeah.
Because 10 years ago, this we couldn't have this conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Without there being like repercussions to careers.
Yeah.
And now I'm happy that we're finally moving to a point where this stuff matters. We want people to be around for the long haul.
Yep. I
want to grow old with my friends, and I want to be part of this industry forever. And these are the people that are making it happen. So it's really great.
Dude, I love it, man. I love it. We're gonna do a little rapid fire questions here. I'm gonna cheat actually here with my computer because I can't remember all these questions. If you don't mind, let's see what we got. Oops. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
I have a couple questions for you. What's some advice that you would give to your younger self just starting out in the industry?
Be patient. Be patient. Don't be quick. Am I answering fast?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Well, no. I mean, no. You're not in a hurry. You can answer as long as you want.
Make sure.
I guess that's not. I guess these are like loaded questions, so I'm not really setting you up for the best rapid fire. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just want to make sure.
Answer as you'd like.
Good,
yes.
No, I would say be patient. That was the biggest thing that I wish I would have learned earlier. Is that not everything in the heat of the moment is how it's going to be in the future, and to push through, and also save money.
Oh my
Save money.
God, man, that's a whole nother episode we got to do. I know.
I'm terrible at it. And it's those are the top two for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
got it. What's a bucket list bar you haven't been to yet?
Oh, Double Chicken Please.
Where's that?
New York, they just got top bar in North America. Basically, they do what I do, but like to a whole different level. They do a culinary-driven cocktail program where they use culinary techniques to develop their flavors and profiles to where even their garnishes play into the cocktail. So essentially what we bring here, and I've been doing for a while, but they have it to this whole different level.
I love it.
I'm so excited to go check them out.
I love it. I love it. Okay, what's one of your own cocktails that you've made that you were most impressed with? It's okay. You can feed into your ego a little bit on this one.
Honestly, I think the one that I'm really, really excited about is going to be my Moulin Rouge. It's a bitter sippy variation, which is my all-time favorite cocktail. It's with the Select bitter, as well as dry vermouth and Averna, with a little touch of Lafite Parisian absinthe. And what I do is I actually take this absinthe salt with the Parisian, I add agar to it, and then I freeze it overnight. It's a process. Damn. And then I take that for like the more like solid aspect, put it in a dehydrate it, and then I take a mixed mineral salt into a spice blender, split it in half, and then I take dehydrated lemons and I split it in half again. And it makes this amazing colorful green salt on the side of the rim that really, really adds to it. So like I said, we do 3-dimensional cocktails here. So you have this amazing bitter Giuseppe just in the glass itself, but then when you try the salt with it, you get this beautiful citrus absinthe aroma to it and flavor profile. It's my favorite. For sure.
Is that on the menu now?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm coming for that for sure. What's a pet peeve of yours when you go to other bars?
No wasted movements. I hate wasted movements. What that kind of entails is people when you're putting a bottle back, you should rinse that tin. And I think it's one of those, or making wasted moves for other people too. So you're like making it messy behind the bar, and that person has to figure out how to work around that. That's a wasted move, and them having to clean up after you.
Yep.
You're losing money for yourself as a bartender. You're losing money for the company. And you're also not looking as cool as you want to, because at the end of the day, all of us bartenders want to look a little bit cool. I don't care what anybody says.
It's a show, for sure. Give a shout out to someone. Play it forward a little bit. Who are you fired up right now to see go through their progression as a badass bartender?
Oh, damn. You got me. You got me so bad on that one.
You can mention a couple if there's like too many that come to mind.
You know what? If I can mention a couple?
Yeah, please.
Jun Sung, sorry, not Jun Sung, Kun Sung, he actually was at Bitter and Twisted. Amazing cat family as well. He opened his own bar, Double D's, down in Dallas.
Okay.
And it's blowing up right now.
Nice.
Like, he took a big jump, went to a city he wasn't living in, and opened up a bar, and is crushing it.
Hell yeah.
I love that man. He's phenomenal. It's awesome. Dylan Brentwood, up in Bar Kismet in Nova Scotia. He's also doing essentially what I'm doing here, with doing this amazing thing. I can't get into it because he went the announcement thing once again.
Yep.
He's doing an amazing mental health thing with, he's trying to get through with his mom, who's the most incredible human being who works with mental health as well, while also being one of the top 50 bartenders right now.
Amazing.
It's super cool. Very proud of that man. And
so we're gonna tag him too in one of these these reels, however we chop it up, and then anybody else that came up in conversation too, because I'd love to actually put those. Maybe we'll put those in the footnotes of any IG reel or IG whatever IG clip or YouTube video, just so people can kind of look at that. I think that's really important too. Like I'd love to myself even follow these people that you say are kind of at the forefront of the hospitality and mental health movement here for the industry. So we'll make sure to list those people and tag them as well.
I love that.
Brother, you know what I didn't ask you, and maybe I just would love if you could just tell us a little bit about the program here at Wormwood.
Yeah.
What your vision is for it. I know you have a little something opening up here in the back, which seems really cool too. Maybe you can talk about what the vision is there.
Yeah, I'd love to. So basically what we do here at Wormwood, once again, is hospitality first.
Yeah.
We want to make everybody feel special when they come in. They're part of the family. And we want them to remember the experience they have here. And secondly, we are developing, like I said, a culinary-driven cocktail program here, where everything we have is a very balanced cocktail on its own, but then those garnishes that we develop with it play into the cocktail one way or another. Whether it be the Moulin Rouge, which we just talked about, as well as the actually phenomenal cocktail by a lead bartender, Keanu Castro, is going to be the Death by Nightshade, where you use excess aguachile runoff with tomatillo water, to make our own dirty martini variation with a citrus gin,
Nice.
while doing a garnish with a Roma tomato with dill on it. That changed the cocktail completely into another really awesome balanced cocktail.
Gotcha.
We're just having a lot of fun with it. It's great. I'm really excited about all the press we're getting with it. In the back, though, we're working on a concept called Secret Garden, which is taking what we're doing here and to bring it to a whole different level. We're essentially making these elaborate, beautiful garnishes. We're doing things that all those garnishes play into the cocktail to change that profile, and we're basically making dishes out of cocktails. I'm so excited about it. It's a really fun thing, and we're implementing the kitchen staff. We're implementing their techniques, all their products. We're up here. It's a little bit more us pairing with the food.
Yep.
Back there, it's just like run crazy and have a really good time doing it.
Nice.
So
Reservations required?
No reservations.
Okay.
It is not a speakeasy for those who may think it is.
Okay.
It is a secret neighborhood bar. I want everybody there. I want to see you on a nightly basis. I want them to have a really good time and hang out with us. There's no hoity-toity there.
Love it.
It's amazing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Dude, anything else you want to wrap up with? Anything that we didn't hit?
No, definitely keep a lookout for Tales this year. We have some really great nominations out there. So phenomenal. It's all my cat family. I love you guys. My wife, Christina, obviously love her too. To your handsome face, of course, amazing. I appreciate you bringing me on the show. This is really awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time. And I like you're in the middle of an admin day and there's a bunch of stuff going on. So it's never ending. But dude, I really appreciate your time, brother.
Seriously.
Thank you so much,
man.
dude.
It's awesome.
Awesome. Phew.